My fiancé told me I was crazy for questioning his business trips, but when I showed up at the hotel with his parents, we all saw exactly who he was sharing a room with. I'm 29F. My fiancé, for the story I'll call him Evan, is 31. We've been engaged for 9 months. This is long, but I'm telling it straight. What I found, how I planned the moment, and what happened after. No dramatics for drama's sake, just the truth and the end. It didn't start as a plan. It started as a nagging feeling and a receipt. One morning I was sorting paperwork for taxes and found a credit card notification on our joint account. A hotel charge for $248 at a downtown boutique hotel 2 hours from where we live. Evan had told me he was in that city for a one-day client meeting and would take the last train home. The charge was at 11:47 p.m. I asked him about it that night. He shrugged, said it was work stuff, and that I was reading too much into things. "You're being paranoid," he said, smiling like it would make me feel silly. It was probably a bar tab, or I must have grabbed dinner and crashed at a friend's. He put it like an annoyance rather than a lie. That's when the crazy label started. I didn't want to be the sort of person who scandalizes things online or in family groups. I tried the gentle route, asked more neutrally, suggested we share calendars, offered to come to the next client dinner. He promised it was nothing and that I should trust him. After 2 more receipts, a Lyft receipt dropped into my inbox that matched the timestamp of the hotel charge, and a stray photo in his cloud backup that showed his face in a doorway behind a woman's arm for a date he'd said he was home. I stopped trusting the promises. I checked the obvious. His calendar, his messages, his LinkedIn check-ins. I'm not techy enough to hack or spy, but I collected what landed in my hands. A friend of his, unaware of my suspicions, accidentally forwarded a screenshot of a restaurant reservation on Evan's email for 2 at the same hotel, dated the night of that 11:47 p.m. charge. That was enough to confirm doubt. Not proof to a court, but proof to me. When I asked him again, calmly and privately, he flipped it. "You always do this," he said. "You're trying to trap me. I can't live like this." He called me controlling in a few texts that his sister later forwarded to our group. She thought it was helpful. His response put the narrative in other people's mouths before I had a chance to show what I'd found. That was the part that hurt more than anything. People taking the easy line. The man is out working. The woman is insecure. It meant he could keep doing whatever he was doing and point at me as the problem. I decided I wouldn't let him keep the story. I thought about dragging it out online. I thought about a big scene with friends. I thought about a post that would draw likes and sides and comments. But I wanted something smaller and private to the people who mattered to him, his parents. If his parents and his inner circle believed him, he'd keep spinning. If they saw the truth plainly and in person, his options would narrow. So I called his mom. I didn't accuse. I said I needed advice and that I'd seen odd things in our joint accounts and calendar, and I was worried for both me and Evan. I asked if she might come with me to the city the next weekend to surprise Evan with lunch. His mother loves those random visits. She said yes almost immediately. Moms are predictable like that. I told her it was nothing dramatic, just a soft check-in, and she agreed to bring his dad as well. They thought we were doing something sweet for him. I booked a train that arrived a little before noon. I told Evan a harmless lie. I had a friend's event in that city and could stop by after. He went along with it. He thought I was the oblivious fiancé who trusted him. The funniest part, he actually worked to keep the illusion. He cleared his schedule in our shared calendar the day before to show client meetings, nailed the actor's part perfectly. Update, day of the visit. We met in the hotel restaurant. I told his mom we should surprise him for lunch, and then pretend we'd just bumped into him. She was happy and chatty, totally unsuspecting. Evan was sitting by the window with a manila folder and a latte. He stood up and hugged his mom, kissed her cheek, and introduced us. That's when I saw her. The woman I'd seen in the background of that cloud photo and whose lipstick shade matched the napkin I'd kept in my purse. She stood when Evan did and looked like she fit there, laughing, arranging the folder with him, leaning in to whisper. They kissed once, quick and not subtle. I felt the air shift. I didn't explode. I didn't scream. I did something better for the truth. Slow, quiet, and undeniable. I sat down, smiled, and introduced myself to the woman like a polite fiancé would. I asked, "Are you an old friend? Do you work with Evan?" Small talk, then facts. The woman, startled, said she was a consultant on the client project Evan had referenced. She used corporate words. Mom and Dad listened, nodding. Evan's posture turned guarded. I slid the printed hotel receipt across the table, the same one I'd saved from our account, and asked to see the name on the reservation. The woman's voice tightened. Evan tried to take the receipt, flustered, and his hand bumped mine. I saw the ring indent on his finger and felt a cold click in my chest. Before he could try to redirect, his mother asked, Then why are you two sharing a table like this? The woman, realizing the room had tilted, said, "We're just colleagues." Evan said it too, quickly. But then an awkward thing happened. The hotel concierge walked by and recognized Evan, smiling and greeting him by name, and said, "Oh, glad you could visit us today. Room 912 is ready." He nodded toward the elevator. The concierge didn't mean anything by it, but the timing did. Evan's dad, a man who had always respected straight answers, asked, "Room 912? You're staying over?" Evan tried to smile. He said, "I had to finish work." "But you can't finish work in a room with someone who's not your colleague." The woman paled. The folder on Evan's knee looked like a prop now. My mother-in-law, not yet my mother-in-law, reached for her purse like someone who was about to leave a party they no longer enjoyed. I had the receipts, the calendar mismatches, the Lyft timestamp, and now a woman who was literally standing beside him in a hotel that showed a room number. That was the kind of moment where words matter less than things. Evan tried to study it by grabbing his coat and saying we should go. The woman stood too. His dad said, quiet and slow, "Tom, can we talk outside for a minute?" He used the wrong name. His legal name is Tom. Evan's name was Evan. That small slip of formality came later. Evan's face became a replacement for color. He got up and stepped out into the foyer. His mother followed. The woman remained awkward and then left a few minutes later. The little smile wiped off. We walked out behind them. In the lobby, Evan tried humiliation first. "You set us up," he hissed. "You dragged my parents into a private meeting." His dad said nothing for a long second. Then he asked, "Why, if it's work, are you two in the same room?" Not finger-wagging, not theatrical, just asking. Evan tried, the way people do, to explain context. He said the woman was a vendor. They'd been doing late hours. The room was for convenience. His mother stood there and looked from him to me, and then the look slid into something else, the slow unwinding of an assumption. She asked for a minute alone with Evan in the hotel coffee corner. They spoke quietly. I waited. I had my evidence in a small envelope, a few printouts of receipts and screenshots, but I didn't need to wave them now. The scene was already vivid enough. Update, 2 days later. Evan texted a flurry of calls and messages. He called me humiliating and unreasonable in ways that had begun to sound rehearsed. His mother called me and cried, saying she was ashamed and confused, asking me to stop talking to her friends about the incident. It was the soft, messy aftermath you expect when protective instincts clash with facts. His father, surprisingly, called me the next morning separate from his wife. He was steadier. He said, "We are seniors. We've been married 40 years. We don't like secrets in our family. If you want us to stay out of it, tell the truth and we will figure it out." That was not an apology. It was an invitation to honesty. He told Evan in a call, bluntly, to stop acting like this was my fault. Friends and some mutual acquaintances took sides fast. Some of Evan's closest colleagues reached out to him privately and then, after checking dates and bookings with vendors, one sent me a private message saying she'd been uncomfortable with his client nights for months. The little network that kept his story polished showed cracks when facts touched them. Evan begged. He sent flowers to my work. He left voicemails about a mistake and a lapse and pleaded about the ring and the house and future plans. I listened to a few, then deleted the rest. Begging doesn't fix the thing that was broken, the consistent pattern of hiding. Update, 5 weeks later. We separated formally. I called my sister and told her I needed help moving a few boxes from our apartment. The ring came off quietly in an empty kitchen at midnight, and I put it in a small jewelry box and handed it to my sister to keep for now. It was small and very final. Evan tried to do the repair thing for a few weeks, therapy, apologetic notes, promises to be accountable. He lasted a month, a pattern I'd seen before. Promise, perform, return to the old. His parents, to their credit, shifted. His father came by once with a store-bought pie and said, "I'm sorry it took seeing you at a hotel to make me listen." That line stung, because I'd been trying to be heard for months. But his father sat and talked to me like an adult who wanted to keep his grandson's life stable. He asked about custody and my work schedule, and he offered help with daycare logistics if I needed it. People can change their minds when facts arrive. I moved into a small place with a bedroom too narrow for a king mattress and a couch that folded into a bed. It wasn't glamorous, but it was mine, and mine felt good to be. I got a new job contract and a weekend with my sister where we ate bad pizza and did nothing of importance. It was repair by tiny actions. Final update, 3 months later. We are divorced now. I signed papers on a rainy Monday and walked out lighter in small ways I hadn't expected. Evan lives a few neighborhoods over and shows up sometimes for our son on the weekends. He tries to be consistent enough that Milo's life has calm spots. I'm not petty enough to throw him out of his kid's life. I want the kids' weekends to be as normal as possible. His parents apologized eventually, in their own slow ways. His mother called, voice carefully even, and said, "I am sorry I told you to be grateful. I was wrong."
She meant it then.
People who had told me I was dramatic stopped texting accusations. Some friendships broke permanently, some softened. It's quieter now. Would I do the hotel thing again?
Yes.
Not for spectacle, but because once you give someone the right to rewrite your story, it's very hard to get it back. He called me crazy, to shift the burden onto me. I chose to stop absorbing that burden and to let the people who matter to him see the truth. The hotel was the place where the truth could be seen, not argued. On the day I filed, I wore the same coat I'd worn to the hotel that day, not as a thwack of symbolism. I just liked it. I walked out of the courthouse with a folder that wasn't full of secrets anymore, and I went to a small cafe and ordered too much coffee. I picked up Milo that evening, and we built a Lego tower that didn't topple. That felt like the right kind of repair. This is the end.